thinking about happily
Uh-huh.
ever after, and he's thinking about
I
after. The girls are set out there into the world looking for husbands and little Prince Charmings, and what they come into contact with is little who have been put out there and taught to take some other man's daughter and bust and toss her aside. The problem is that when boys are going out there going to find themselves, the patriarch of the family goes to the boys and corrupts them. We're sending girls out there ill-equipped, filling their head with all types of damn fantasies from these books that they read about some knight in shining armor who's gonna come and save the damn day. We're sending girls out there with no damn armor, and we're equipping boys for war. And these girls are going out there to the damn slaughter.
and
There's a
I
war going on out there, and women are losing this battle. Position. You're on You're Live with Tonya. Talk to me. What are your thoughts about the movie Cuties? About what we're talking about tonight?
Okay, full disclosure, Tanya, I haven't seen the movie, and the reason why I haven't seen the movie is because I haven't been fully comfortable with watching it, in light of all the advertising and all the hype and propaganda in the U.S. about the film. I don't feel comfortable watching films about young girls and their sexualization. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And so, but I have listened to your broadcast, and I've been reading women who've been talking about this film and everything. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you that there are fundamental differences between the way in which males and females are socialized, boys and girls. And yeah, I do think that boys, when it comes down to sexuality, how they understand themselves, that's something that has been neglected. You know what I mean? I mean, boys are left to basically fend for themselves. They're left to figure out their bodies. They're left to negotiate their impulses. What they learn about being a man comes from other places. I mean, they learn about being, producers and providers. They learn about building infrastructure. They learn about things that have nothing to do with, human sexuality and marriage and the like. That's tied to how they understand themselves as men in a society. And I really do think that it's not just the men. Yeah, I think men have a role to play in it, fathers and uncles and other men. But I think that women also play a role in how boys are socialized. And so I think mothers they play a crucial role. Mothers have boys at a very, very crucial moment in their lives. From the time they're born to they're 8 years old, and they can play a very, very vital part in how they understand themselves. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of boys, and we're talking about, if you're talking about like, black boys all across the world, but particularly in America, though, they're forced to really, figure this stuff out on their own through trial and
Well,
error. And the reality is,
I think part of the issue is that men are so busy looking at what women, what girls, what all of these other people are doing, should be doing, how they that there are not legions of men really coming to and teaching boys how to be men. It's it it's the separation from a boy and his mother is a traumatic time for him, but it's a time that the boy needs to be able to realize that there are differences, and that's where there's the tutelage of older men comes in, and the way that older men and boys are grooming and teaching boys. They're teaching boys that girls' bodies are commodities, that they need to rack up as much bodies as they can. Don't ever be weak. Don't ever this. Don't ever that. And it makes boys less. It makes them less happy. It makes them less able to really form cohesive unions with other men and women that they're not going to be sexual with. There's a lot of toxicity that exists in the rearing of boys, and that toxicity comes from other males and the circles that males are in with other men, and how they talk about women, how they talk about women's bodies, how they talk about sex, how they talk about what manhood means to them, and just the toxicness that exists when men speak with other men about sex and sexuality, about women, about all of this stuff. It's horrifying. And this is not an area that women can step into to teach men how to be more humanistic. It's not an area that a woman can step into. It really takes men really doing that and policing themselves. You know, it's like there's a war going on out there, and the war happens to be men against women, and women are losing this battle.
Well, I agree with you in a general sense. I really do agree with you, but I think in a different kind of way, because I do think that I mean, we do have evidence, I think, across cultures when you have societies where you have intact families, when you have societies when you have men and women who are working in a complementary way, okay, to raise children. I think that boys learn boundaries at some level. I think that there was some rebellion, there was some risk taking that comes with just biology, the biology that comes with males, but older males. And so I'm thinking like in traditional African cultures, real conservative cultures, where you have fathers, boys understand if they're being raised in a household with a mother, you get to see how a man functions in relationship to his wife and in relationship to his daughters. And they get that model. I think
I want to add something in, because we've already gone into 7 minutes, and unfortunately that's not enough. Unfortunately, that's not enough, because what ends up happening is the otherization of the female body. So men have no problem watching porn, but they don't want their mother in porn. They don't want their sisters in porn, and they don't want their daughters in porn. Right? Yeah. But they have no problem watching porn. So when a boy is raised in a household with a mother, first of all, he's like, okay, well, my mother is motherly. Hence, she deserves the respect that comes along for mothers. My sister is in this household and under the guise of my father, so therefore she deserves a certain amount of respect because of that. But then when you go out there into the street, that ain't my sister. That ain't my mother. That's some other bitch or whatever other words that they use to describe other women out there. And that's when it becomes problematic, because when those little nuts start fibrillating underneath there, when that testosterone starts twinkling around inside them balls, and those boys start looking for some release, that's when there is the need for the patriarch to come in and teach these boys how to act out there with other people's daughters. That's the issue right there. The issue is other men's daughters and how those girls are treated. And unfortunately, there are far too many men and boys who come together to start saying, these are the girls who deserve respect, and these are the ones who don't. So you take these girls and you treat them such and such a way, and these other girls, you take them and you bust your nuts in them and you toss them aside.
Tonya, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. And I would say that, those same type of distinctions, can be found with women. Women make distinctions between a man that she can build a life with versus a man that she can play around with. You know what I'm saying? A man who she takes seriously and a man who she doesn't take seriously. Okay? And the difference has to do with the quality of the man and how he's developed in the life. And so, yes, I agree with you 100% that these guys, that men in the world, we make distinctions. If I take a woman to be my wife, okay, I'm evaluating her based on different criteria versus a woman who I just want to sleep with, I just
right.
want to play with.
But you know what? But listen, listen. One thing that one fallacious argument tactic is to move the goalpost. We're not talking about what a person does to choose a good mate. What we're talking about is the socialization of boys going out there into the world and abusing other people's daughters. That's what we're talking about. First of all, there's a size difference, there's a strength difference, and there is a who is left with the baby difference. There is a difference between the toxic nature of competitiveness and aggression that exists inside of the circles of men, where they go out there on the rampage being taught to take, because when these little girls go out there dating, they're thinking, they're matching up their goddamn last names. They're 13 years old doing the A-E-I-O-U, using the vowels from their names and the vowels from the boy's name who they have a crush on. And they're little girls and they're thinking about marriage and they're wondering whether or not this little 13-year-old boy is going to be the one to come in on his damn white horse or his Barbie mobile and save her from her life and grow old with her. And the boy's out there thinking about how to ram his penis inside of her little tender hole and dump her off somewhere. She's thinking about happily ever after, and he's thinking about after he busts the nut. So this is not a situation about whether or not girls are going out there abusing little boys who they don't know whether or not they're husband material or not yet. It takes the years of abuse. Because when the girls are unleashed out there into the world, the girls are set out there into the world looking for husbands and little Prince Charmings. And what they come into contact with is little niggas and little nigglets who have been put out there and taught to take some other man's daughter and bust nuts in her pussy and toss her aside. That's what they're coming up against. And then it's only after she's been dumped enough and heartbroken enough that then she then grows up and says, what the fuck have I been taught out here in these goddamn storybooks? And she realizes that she's been taught a fucking lie. And that's when she's like, you know what? I have to temper who it is that I am based on what the fuck exists out there, goddamn.
And Tonya, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. All I'm saying is that these boys are driven. This is a deeply biological impulse that we have to harness. And what happens, and I agree with you, we have not done the best job. Men, and I say men, we have not done the best job at harnessing the biological impulses of the boys. The boys do this. And not just, I'm just talking about prepubescent boys, but I'm also talking about the teenagers, boys who are, 15, 16, 17 years of age, who don't have who don't have male guidance, who don't have older men. You're right. They don't have older men who say, listen, you have to learn discipline. You have to learn self-control. This is how you interact with the opposite sex. Okay.
But you know what? I'll say this, and then I have to let you get off the line because we've been on for 14 minutes. I'll say this, right? The problem is that when boys are going out there going to find themselves, the patriarch of the family goes to the boys and corrupts them. That's the fucking problem right there. That nobody is talking about. That the patriarchs are going to these young boys when these young boys are going out there into the world and they have a chance to really be able to go out there and show some love. The patriarchs go and say, no, don't do that. Just get your nut. Go out there, get as much pussy as you can. That's what makes the patriarchs are the ones who are corrupting these boys. And then the boys go among themselves and they continue the toxicity. Yeah. That's the problem right there. Because when it comes time to each one teach one, the men are reaching back and corrupting these boys. Because I would say the best time that a girl has to find love from a boy is when he's 15 years old and he has not yet been corrupted by the other men out there.
yeah. I agree that's there. I mean, the other part of it is that is the boys learn beyond the patriarch. They learn from other boys who are misguided. They learn from television. They learn from music. They learn from other places that are not giving them healthy information about what it means to be a male, what it means to be a man, what it means to come of age. They're getting negative information. Beyond the patriarchs.
Where did you learn? Who was the first man who talked to you about how to treat a girl? Be honest with
Brian.
me.
Excuse me, Tonya.
You just call me Brian.
I grew up in the. I'm sorry.
What's going on with you behind the scenes?
Hello?
Man, what's going on with you behind the scenes? Did you calling a woman Brian? What's up with you, man?
I'm sorry. My name is Brian.
Oh, is that so?
I grew up in a single parent household. And
so who is the man? Who is the man? The
hello?
man, yes, please. I just want to get to the point because it's 16 minutes in right now and I need to let other callers call in. What man came to you and talked to you about being a man? How to treat women?
No, man. I mean, I learned through trial and error. I learned. My father wasn't a part of my life. I didn't have a whole bunch of males. There were older males who were there. There were older males who were doing things. I ran with older boys who were doing things. We came up.
I need you.
Yeah, it was about getting as much as we wanted to get.
Okay. Thank you for answering. There was no father in the home, but the older males that you came into contact with taught you that it was all about getting as much pussy as you can. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when it was time for you to learn, the older ones who came back to look at the young buck coming up who had a chance, they talked to you about how to get as much pussy as you can, how to take somebody's daughter and use her for a cum bucket, a receptacle for sperm, to just dump your load in and then toss her away. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I would love to talk to you forever, but we've been on for almost 20 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
And there we have it. And see, this is the problem. The problem is that we're sending girls out there ill-equipped, filling their head with all types of damn fantasies from these books that they read about some knight in shining armor who's going to come and save the damn day. So listen, I'm going to come to you in just a moment. Just make sure your speakers are down, that you're off of speakerphone, that your computer is down, and then be ready to talk when I come to you. This is the problem. The problem is that we're sending girls out there with no damn armor, and we're equipping boys for war. And these girls are going out there to the damn slaughter. That's what the problem is right there. Because the women, the matriarchs are teaching these girls how to be good women, good little girls to take care of some man. But the men are teaching the boys how not to take care of a woman, how not to spend any money, how to bust as many nuts as he can in somebody else's daughter and then toss them aside, not commit, but leave them somewhere. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. So what is your comment about the movie Cuties, about socialization, grooming, all of that?
Okay, so I was going to watch the movie today on Netflix, but I'm very interested in your conversation about grooming. I think that it's a lot larger.
Thank you for watching. Make sure that you thumbs up the video, make sure that you subscribe, and hit the bell notifications to be notified of new videos. Leave a comment below, share the video, and come over to TonyaTKO.com to subscribe to my personal mailing list and drop me a message of a viral story that you'd like for me to cover. See you on the other side. Peace.